In this third part of the video, I'll talk about changing processes, improving processes, the learning organization, and I will zoom this into the one-person business, because I've been essentially talking about large businesses so far, and integrate it all in a conclusion. This is discussed in several chapters in the book, and I will start with a metaphor. Imagine that I've bought myself a cottage on the lake, and I've got to move many objects in my basement. What is my path? First, I need to look at what kind of objects I have to move. Once I know exactly what's there, I need to decide on a methodology, or methodologies, depending on the type of objects. A suited, a well-adapted methodology to the type of objects I have. And then pick the tools to apply the methodology and decide on a vehicle. I will have to cycle through this, depending on the size of my basement, of course, and the number of objects that are there. What does this have to do with process improvement? Well, the metaphor, of course, is that the process problem or opportunities that you have are very numerous and very different in nature. And depending on the type of problem, the methodology required will be different. Methodologies could be the DMAIC methodology of Six Sigma, discussed in Chapter 9. It could be the lean methodology, eliminating wastes. It could be other methodologies as well. If it's a process that does not exist, then you can't improve it. You've got to design it using the DFSS methodology, the DMADV or DCDV methodology presented in Chapter 9. By the way, each letter is a step in the methodology. A methodology is an organized sequence of methods that produce a result that you want. I will not discuss in this video the techniques per se, nor the methodology. I refer you to Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 for that. Once you've got your methodology, you need to pick the right tool from the toolkit. The tools are presented in the two chapters. The simple toolkit includes things like risk analysis through failure mode and effect analysis, value-added analysis, cause and effect analysis. The complex tools are the statistical tools in general, or matrix type of things like quality functions deployment. They are more complex. I focus on the two types, and I do not go too deep in the statistic in the book to avoid talking to experts only. What's the vehicle here? Once you've got the problem well sized, the methodology sorted out, and you picked your tools, of course, what you need to manage is manage change. Not just from the technical side of things, but from the very human side of things. The emotions, the resistance to change. You've got to lead people to change. This cycle is what I call the learning cycle. It takes a lot of time to implement it in an organization. An organization that learns to do that fast, that quickly gets a number of notions, tools, techniques shared by everyone in the organization through experience, gradual experience. This organization is the fastest learning organization. It scopes the right process to fix. It's got the right methodologies and the people know the tools, and it's got a vehicle to manage social change. Let's turn to this complex aspect of things. Managing social change. It's all about emotions, of course. The hard stuff is the soft stuff. How do you get people who are already very busy How do you get them on board to take time to invest in an exercise involving colleagues, often considered as adversaries or the guilty party, the other department's the guilty party? How do you get them together, knowing that it is not top management in its wisdom that can come down and tell everyone what to do? The command and control organization nowadays does not go very far. Those that do go very far are those that lead people, give them the time and the means to fix what they know. And this requires a lot of doing on the soft side of things. The Kaizen event, I find, is probably the best suited for many types of problems. Not all. It is a change vehicle. It is not a methodology in the sense of a process improvement methodology or design methodology. It is a way to get people on board together in a team and to let the team lead the organization in change. It is a level playing field where a small team with tools that are shared and learned goes its own way for a while with the feeling that they're empowered to do things, and then share with the rest of the organization in an open forum where the rest of the organization is slowly brought on board sequentially. Such a team, and the Kaizen event is nothing new. A Kaizen simply means continuous improvement. The notion of an event is a short time period where one, two, or more teams, depending on the size of the organization, are totally mobilized towards fixing, designing, improving existing processes. And the rest of the organization is helping them do it. Let's look at the sequence of emotions that's involved. This is, by the way, chapter 11. Team receives a mandate, and before the mandate you need to scope and formulate an improvement mandate. I've discussed briefly scoping and scoping tools, so that this is a management job. To first decide what is the size of process, the right size, the right process, the right thing to do. Formulate a mandate. The team receives it, maps the process, analyzes the process, formulate diagnosis, present diagnosis, find solution, present solution, implement it, sustain it, look back at the cycle, at what they've done, and this is a cycle. So it repeats itself with different teams, of course, and with the right time span in between to implement, assimilate, and integrate and standardize. Throughout this sequence of events, the team members go through a sequence of emotions, feelings. The idea of an emotionogram mentioned earlier about the sequence of emotion that a customer will go through applies here. The employees, as they go through these activities, will get different feelings. And those are quite predictable, actually. Trust. Receiving a mandate from top management to change something means that your experience is valued as an employee. Dissatisfaction. Share the dissatisfaction about the process. Then feel that you're not alone to fix it. Understand the tools, lead a team of people from various departments with very diverse point of view to come together and share a common understanding. And the sharing, of course, goes with the organization as well. Feeling empowered to change things, then the feeling, the exhilaration of changing stuff that's been there for a long time and that irritates everyone, and that seeing it work. Leading the team, once it is consolidated, leads the organization. They own the vision. They share the vision with the rest of the organization and they show the way. Believe that it works. Then the discipline to maintain it afterwards. And finally, the understanding of the cycle. The first time you go through this, someone's got to coach you through it. because you've never been through it and you have no idea what this is all about. It takes a full cycle for the team and for the organization to understand the principle of it. It is a unit of change. It is a unit of learning. The way to create this employee experience that has the potential to change beliefs and thus culture. This is what I was referring to on the previous slide, talking about the change vehicle. A way to mobilize people and to synchronize and script the way they will go through this sequence of emotion and the organization change that comes with it. This is the soft side. It is obviously crucially important, but does require the technical side as well. The team's got to find the solution that works, that produces the results that helps us beat competition. There are many ways that organizations have developed over time, many philosophies and approaches: theory of constraint, lean, activity-based costing, total quality management, service standards, Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, information systems and technology, service guarantee. There are many philosophies. This is in chapter 11. They each have, they are based on different concepts. They tend to go through cycles, unfortunately. There are fads, or there are faddish elements to this. And yet there are fundamental elements about process management, competitiveness. It's important not to embark on a fad and forget the other elements that we learned as an organization. You cannot forget your culture and reinvent it. It just doesn't work. The cultural path of the organization, it's got to be continuous. There are great elements there, but you've got to assess them on the basis of your current organizational culture, environment you're in, strategy, and so on. Look at the dimensions of the learning organization, irrespective of these approaches or operational initiatives, if you want to call them that. There's an aspect, of course, that deals with top management, fortitude, management style. There's an aspect about social cohesion in the organization. Strategic execution, not only the ability to formulate a good plan, but the ability to execute it. Knowledge. Knowledge and know-how. Technology's got a lot to do with this, of course. Rigor and quality and customer focus. Now, this is the material, the second part of chapter 11, where I assess each of these dimensions. If you're missing a couple of vital dimensions, even though you're excellent on one part, this will become a bottleneck to your progress in terms of learning faster than your competitor. The approaches presented on the previous slide will set standards. ISO 9000, for example, fits in this general area: quality, customer focus. Theory of constraint is in process management. TQM fits more in this side. Six Sigma in continuous improvement measurement, service guarantee, lean operation. I've sort of, and I refer you for further discussion, depending on your area of weakness, you can pick an operational initiative well suited to help you remove this part of the constraint and thus benefit the whole organization. After such a zoom out view of the organization, let's zoom in to the small organization, the very small organization, the one-person organization. In the end, excellence is personal. Let's assume that I am Pierre, the interior designer. I design houses, particular kitchen, my specialty. Why am I not Peter? Because I can charge more if I am Pierre. You will recall the value to process V2P model presented in the previous part 2 of the video. There is the positioning in the market, in the labor market. There is the coherence, the operation strategy creating profit leverage. Let us see if this model applies to the case of Pierre. First, market segment, customer experience. Let me pick DINKs, couple, double income, no kids, DINKs as marketers call them. They have money, they've got a big house, little time because they're working very hard, quite a bit of self-confidence, but not in designs and color, and no time to invest in it as well. But certainly a lot of interest in having a quality, a zen interior, if you like. So I approach them. I sell my time by the hour. I don't build anything. I let them pick their supplier. I get bids for them from all, and I inform them about who the best suppliers are, what exists, what goes together, what does not. I discuss with them their tastes, and they may be different. Husband and wife may have very different tastes. I help them understand and negotiate. That's a critical skill as well. I help them make their project a reality. Their project. It is their project. They manage it. They select. They pay. They're in control. I guide them through it. That is the customer experience. I reduce their risk. I give them self-confidence. What would not happen without me happens with me. I am in between them and their providers. Without actually taking money to buy, they pay directly and they feel the sense of control. What's my business model? I bring expertise and knowledge of what's out there. I bring knowledge of the various providers, the various suppliers of parts and services that they will need. And I help them sketch, make it visual, prepare RFQ, request for quotes, help them interpret it, pick the bunch of supplier and manage their project. I help them do it. I don't do it for them. I make money because I bring the critical skills and critical information that they could not possibly have. And I have a network of suppliers to whom I bring a lot of volume, and I get good discounts for them. And that allows me to charge me more by the hour. Whatever money I charge, they recoup in terms of the quality of the work and in terms of the price they get as well. My personal value proposition. I live at home, I work at home, I see my kids grow. I'm totally autonomous. I build my own customer base. I manage with a network of suppliers, including accountant, for example. My value proposition is that I meet interesting people. Through the success of the projects, they're so happy they give me positive feedback and they refer me. Likelihood to refer. Critical indicator of satisfaction. And actual reference, the best. So this is my personal, I get a lot of personal satisfaction, a lot of personal freedom as well, and I make friends. Operation strategy. Well, I use technology a lot. There's design technology is quite evolved now, quite user-friendly. And I use telecom a lot. And those people, DINKs in particular, are quite tech-savvy. So they can get information electronically, 3D. I can meet with them. and discuss this information, use technology to help me design, make it visual, stuff that they could not possibly learn themselves. And through reducing uncertainty and reducing the gaps between what they want and what will happen, I also manage my risk that way. Those are my operation strategy. I work at home, except when I have to meet customers. And then I transact electronically with low cost. Technology leverages by giving more at a lower cost at the same time. So I make sure I stay at the latest 3D CAD design that exists and the best telecom that is possibly available to a well-paid professional. Processes. What are my processes? You name them. Make the first call. Receive and manage the first response. Manage the first meeting. You never get a second chance to do a good first impression. If you blow it there, you're done. If you create the trust at that first meeting, the impression that you work for them, and that whatever time they spend with you is money in the bank, risk reduced, cost reduced, likelihood of happening increased. Manage second encounter. Prepare first draft. Discuss first draft with customer. Translate draft into specs and RFQs. Discuss RFQs and discuss the bids when they come in with the customer. Build project managements. Verbs, action verb, infinitive, side talk. And then fasten the techniques that I mentioned all apply here. Last element here, voice of customer. What should I measure? Number of referrals, obviously. Number of phone calls that translate into an actual first contact. Number of first contact that translate into an actual meeting. Number of project completed. Response time to customer calls. Volume that I bring to my supplier base. Of course, this is my market power. This market power is an asset vis-a-vis my customer. Now, understanding very well my business model, my positioning, my processes, I am in a position to design, generate the best possible indicators to measure this process, and then find a way to measure it correctly, analyze variation, better characterize my processes, and have a continuous improvement path because of that. We can look at Sandra's overall process, major business process, if you like. The client, by the way, I was Pierre, she is Sandra. Cabinet maker, carpenter, electrician, appliance store. First meeting. Is it okay? We meet, explore options together. This, by the way, is the second moment of truth. First moment of truth. Prepare sketches, respond to sketches, moment of truth. NTP is notice to proceed. We have a project. We've looked at the bids. They give contract. They sign the check. And then comes project management and so on. This is a very high-level view. It's a high-level process mapping of what she does. And through it, we can understand what are the critical variables, isolate the critical variable, formulate diagnosis, and apply the methodologies, tools of process improvement and process design, just as we would in a large organization, except maybe simpler. Internally, it goes between two hands and 2 ears. Of course, she's got many providers to manage, and changing them may be more difficult, but then she's got market power. Excellence is personal, and Pierre is also a person. He could apply the same system and process logic to himself. Not business person, but the person in the body. he could develop a dashboard, a personal dashboard about his health, for example, applying the notion that the body is a set of systems and processes that produce variation. They are interconnected, and if you measure the right thing, such as your weight, hours training per week, ratio total cholesterol over HDL cholesterol, systolic and diastolic pressure. This is my actual data. I am not Pierre, I'm Jean, but that's all right. I use this as feedback to manage my health. My daughter is a pharmacist, and we discuss what are the best indicators possible. And the variations that I get in these critical indicators are extremely useful in helping me understand my unique processes. Every human body and mind is different. So data on mine matters to me particularly. If you measure it right, if you interpret it right, you'll know more about yourself and you'll reach your goal, staying healthy, for example, as much as you can, maximizing your potential as much as you can. In short, you can apply much of these notions and technique, certainly the logic of it, to personal processes. Concluding now, integration and putting the puzzle together. In the organizational pyramid, top management may get lost in the strategic cloud. I've represented that with the strategic chessboard moving, with your moves, competition's response, sometime expected, sometime totally unexpected, forcing you to respond differently. Deciding on the right move is essential, but being able to execute it is just as essential. If you get the right strategy but you can't do it, you're doing the right thing wrong. If you get the wrong strategy, whether you do it right or not, you can do the wrong thing right, or that doesn't create value. The risk here is in the disconnect, of course. If you are like this with this disconnect, then you're vulnerable. I've largely discussed ways to connect the two. Strategy with execution dynamically. The mechanisms to make the connection between execution and action, and between the strategic moves and their quick, reliable execution. The challenge involved in doing so is threefold. First, there is a conceptual challenge, as you no doubt have noticed by watching this video, and as you will in the book. You shouldn't shy away from concepts and strategic thinking, which is necessarily theoretical vision of the mind. Then there are techniques. You shouldn't shy away, even if you're right up there, from learning and getting involved in the technique. Only this way can you understand execution. Only this way can you help execution happen and play your role, do your job as top management. And there is the social, the emotional connect between people. Think back 4x100 meter dash. Emotions, the soft side, and the hard stuff is the soft stuff here. Strategic, technical, social must be managed. And there's no one else to manage it than you. When I say manage, I don't mean you got to do it. You've got to create the conditions for it to happen. Command and control, have I said that before, does not work. Chapters in the book dealing with each aspect of those things, and this is what I just done a few minutes ago. I'm reminded of the movie Karate Kid to illustrate. I think Mr. Miyagi illustrates very well what this is all about. It's obviously nothing easy. If it were, everybody would do it. When Mr. Miyagi here is with Daniel-san, he sort of explains to him, after having washed the car, if you would recall the movie, Daniel-san, if you karate do no, okay. If you karate do yes, okay. If you karate do so-so, squish. Don't go for half measures. If you find this too complicated, keep going with business as usual. If you want to get into this, you should take the time. You can't delegate this. It is personal. You cannot fake it. And if you try, people will see through it. And they will also fake it. The best way to get started: pick an organization that you know, either a client or supplier, that you feel has achieved excellence as a learning organization. Since they're not a competitor, they'll be happy to get you involved in one of their Kaizen event or Six Sigma projects, if that's what they're into. It certainly will be a potentially business-changing, if not life-changing experience. Wish you good luck. Thank you for listening.